This is Face the Nation, broadcasting live from the CNN IPN headquarters in New Delhi with Sagarika Ghosh.
Hi there. Now you may not know it, but if you are eating this or if you are eating this, Aloo Bhujia, Maggi or Lay's, if you're eating any of these or foods like them, you are consuming harmful levels of trans fats, salt and sugar, even though the food manufacturers claim their food is healthy and the trans fats are not labeled on the packets, and you could be heading for diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. Those are the findings of a Delhi-based NGO, Center for Science and Environment. Let's get you a report and then hear from our panelists.
Most junk foods contain very high levels of trans fats, salts and sugar, leading to obesity and diabetes. Well, you already knew that, right? But what do you do when food companies label their food as healthy, which are not in fact so? The Center for Science and Environment tested 16 major food brands and found that misbranding and wrong labeling by junk food companies are misleading the consumers. For instance, a child who eats one McDonald's Happy Meal finishes 90% of all his daily requirement of trans fats. The packet of Happy Meal makes no mention of this massive dosage of trans fats. Top Ramen Super Noodles claim there is 0 trans fats in every 100 grams. But the CSE study found 0.7 grams of trans fats per 100 grams. Similarly, Haldiram's Aloo Bhujia says it has no trans fats, but the study found 2.5 grams of trans fats per 100 grams. Trans fats are notorious for clogging arteries and making them narrow. Consumption of these so-called fun foods have serious health implications, especially for young children.
These children will have shorter lifespan, they will die early, and in the prime of their life they will suffer from diseases.
According to the report, the problem lies with poor labeling standards for Indian companies.
Very clearly, one of the things we have to do is to make sure that we change the law so that it actually holds companies responsible. And two, we need a law to be able to regulate the salt, the sugar and the fat content in our food.
So next time when you get those hunger pangs, do think twice before you grab salty snacks like these. After all, it's a question of what's best for your heart. With Bureau Inputs in New Delhi, Juhi Chaudhary.
Time to junk the junk food. That's the question we're asking. Sunita Narayan is joining us. She's Director, Center for Science and Environment. That is the NGO that has carried out that study on those concealed trans fats in all those fast foods. Suhail Seth is Managing Partner of Counselor. She's also on the Coca-Cola Advisory Board. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Padma Shri Awardee, Senior Consultant, Pediatrician at Nephron Clinic. Someone who will tell us just what is making young people become diabetic in today's India. And Dr. Shikha Sharma, medical doctor and wellness expert, is also here. Thanks everyone very much for joining us. Does a junk food culture dominate our eating habits? That's the question we're asking. Let's kick it off with Sunita Narayan straight away. Sunita, how reliable are your tests?
Sagrika, we do tests now fairly regularly, and we have just tested antibiotics in honey, and as a result of it, government is coming up with standards now for it. No company has refuted it. No company has said that we were wrong, perhaps because they were more Indian companies, that they respected the fact that you could have tests done and you did not shoot the messenger. We also tested trans fat about 2 years ago in our vanaspati, in our oil, and that is also pushing government to come up with a standard for trans fat in vanaspati. You'll also remember that we did test pesticides in colas. The JPC did say that we were absolutely right in our scientific finding. So I think the one thing that we are very clear about, we do this very carefully, we double check, we triple check. We can assure you that our data, as we have put out in the public domain, is absolutely correct. I think the only thing we should be demanding now, because this involves the health of children in this country, is we need government to step in with much stricter labeling laws and a ban on junk food in schools.
So stricter labeling laws and a ban on junk food in schools. Suhail Seth, is this terribly unfair to the consumer for these big brands to not actually tell the consumer what kind of trans fat and what kind of sugar and salt is there in the food? Surely that's a fundamental right of a consumer to know.
But surprisingly, despite the hoopla, it's on your label. You just have to check. It's also part of Sunita's report. I think Sunita's point, which I have no truck with, is that you need a more robust law. Fine. But to say that only her figures are accurate and no other figures will hold scrutiny, to my mind, is a bit, it's a bit preemptive. So here's my argument. If you go through her report from page 1 to page 32 or 33, 41, the report makes three basic points. Number one, that trans fats per se have not been reported in the manner or with the accuracy that CSE has discovered. Point two is she says that we need a ban on junk foods, which to my mind is a government issue. It has nothing to do with
schools.
me or with
schools.
Junk foods. I said junk foods.
In schools.
I don't know how else to pronounce food.
Junk foods in schools.
Ban junk foods in school.
In schools.
Accept.
Sohail, there are children in this world. They go to school.
We are saying ban on junk foods in schools. Fine.
Yes.
Will you stop interrupting? Because Sagarika, here's the deal. Let us develop an argument with respect. This kind of interruption is not on.
I agree.
Okay, quite frankly, it's not on. Yeah. So here's my point. If you want a ban on junk foods in schools, that is an issue that the government has to mandate. Not Sunita Narayan, not you, not me. Her report also mentions a journal which is quoted called Lancet, which says that when the British government actually created an awareness exercise which informed the British public about the harm that salt causes qua blood pressure, when this was encouraged in terms of reporting and disclosures, there was an amazing decline in the blood pressure rate or in people with blood pressure ailments in Britain. If you study her report, which is pretty involved, if I can use the word, there is another point that's mentioned, that the figures that Sunita has tested are not in consonance with what the Indian law prescribes. Now I find that a bit contradictory only in one area, not disputing whether her laboratory is right or someone else's is not. There are issues qua reportage which also need counter-checking. I mean, one laboratory in the world cannot be the finite or the infinite universe.
That's a good point. Sunita, you can't be the only arbiter.
1 minute.
I agree.
Let me get you to respond to that.
I'm so glad Sunita's agreed.
Sohail,
that's my point.
Sohail,
my point is,
Sohail,
don't hang
Sohail,
people unless
Sohail,
they
I don't think anyone is hanging anyone here. You're just defending them without them even coming out to refute our figures.
Don't allow me to finish. No.
Sohail, we've heard you out very patiently. Just listen.
Let me. Sohail, hang on. Let me just get in there. Sanjeev Bagai.
Dr. Ghosh is the anchor, not Sunita Narayan.
Hang on a second. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, respond to what both Sohail and Sunita are saying, that should there be a ban on junk food in schools? Is it so bad for children? What about the other things that children consume? Bread pakoras or gulab jamuns or rasgullas which are made on the street. Are they not equally unhealthy? And the crisis of labeling, and also Sohail's point about the fact that this cannot be the only test. These foods have to be subject to other tests and other laboratories. Sunita Narayan's NGO can't be the only arbiter of trans fats. Just respond to all these 3 points.
Right. Okay, just 30 seconds as a brief so that the common viewer knows what trans fat is. It's an unsaturated fat which is not digested well in the body. It is assimilated in the body and it raises the bad cholesterol and it decreases the good cholesterol. So the genesis of this problem can begin even antenatally when a pregnant mother is eating wrong food, and there is sufficient data worldwide to show that trans fat high content is there even in breast milk, which is harmful to a newborn. Having said that, the genesis of most problems in adulthood begin in the pediatric age group. Trans fats have a particular limit. There is worldwide data in countries across the globe, in Europe and in US, in which they have decreased the levels of trans fat, not only in fast food, but in normal food which is cooked or consumed by normal people. And they have shown almost 50 to 80% decrease in ischemic heart disease in countries like Denmark and Sweden and Switzerland. Now, what really trans fat does in smaller kids is that it becomes a non-moderated quantity of the wrong fatty acids which are being consumed by children. It's not only hypertension, it's not only diabetes, and it's not only coronary artery disease. This affects the liver, it causes early onset of Alzheimer's disease, it causes infertility. The basis of this study, the figures may vary a little bit from one lab to another lab. I'm not disputing the figures, presumably they are high. Having said that, it is important to note that these things are giving a public awareness. They are giving an awareness, a warning to parents so that they can counsel their children what is right to be eaten and what is wrong to be eaten. It's not only about multinationals, it's not about McDonald's only or Narolas or Coke or Pepsi or anything else. It is about the normal Indian fast food like chola bhaturas or bread pakoras or
That's the point, isn't it? But Sunita, that's the point. Respond to that. A number of people will say that, you're carrying out an ideological crusade against MNCs. What about chole bhature? What about bread pakora? What about butter chicken? What about the so-called home-cooked Indian food, which is equally rich in trans fat and salt and sugar?
Yeah. Sagrika, just give me a minute to explain that, because I think it's a very important issue you have raised. The fact of the matter is that we have done a study on trans fat in cooking oil in India, because we very strongly believe that you have to limit the trans fat in the oil itself. And at that time we had studied all the oil brands, all the Indian brands, all the brands that you and I eat, from a Vanaspati Dalda to a Saffola. So on one hand we need to limit the trans fat in the oil. On the other hand, our purpose here was to find out what are people eating which we can test, and we know that there is a protocol for testing it. Now the fact is, a chola bhatura shop, we tested the Narula, we tested Haldiram, we tested Maggi, we tested everything that can be tested which you can buy across India. It's very difficult for us to say that this shop here, your local man is using Vanaspati and so he has trans fat, whereas another shop may not be using it. So this whole thing about multinationals, let's stop this. This is really Suhail defending colas. Just stop falling into this trap.
Suhail,
we are talking about the health of people. We are talking about the health of children in this country.
Okay, very quickly.
And we want to raise a larger issue of trans fat.
Okay, let me just quickly bring in another panelist, Shikha Sharma, in here, eminent nutritionist. Everybody turns to you when they want to lose weight. What is your take? Do you believe that these foods particularly are carriers of trans fats, or are Indians generally eating foods? What about our festivals? The gulab jamuns and the kajus and the whatever that we eat. I mean, isn't all that loaded with trans fats and sugar and salt?
Actually, Sagarika, you're absolutely right. Even those foods are loaded. The only thing is that those foods are not available on demand. Like, for example, you have to go out and buy, and those are limited to certain occasions, or those are limited to times when you have to actually go out and buy them fresh from the halwai or whatever. The problem with these kind of packet food is that they're available all the time, everywhere, and kids have unlimited access to them. So the chance of the kids eating this much more is because
greater.
Yes.
And I think Sunita making a valuable point about the role of advertising and the glossy advertising and the ad campaigns and the kind of glamour that is attached to these particular products. But Doc wanted to come in, and then I'll get a response in from Suhail. Doc.
Yeah, just 2 points I'd like to make. There is a lot of worldwide advertisement material in which it is written that it is zero trans fat. Now, internationally by law, less than a particular amount per serving, which is 0.5 grams per serving or lower, is considered as zero trans fat. Now, one serving is fine, but the magnitude and repeated servings cause a cumulative effect on the health, which
but
is
then the
harmful.
case is for moderation.
The second point,
but just to argue quickly, the case there is for moderation. Is it for banning? Should you ban these foods? Isn't that a socially draconian measure?
No, Sagarika, it's not a question of banning, it's a question which Sunita has raised, which is good. It's of causing public awareness, which is a good point. The second point I would like to add is, in US, there is sufficient published data in all international health journals that there is a 300% variation in McDonald's between New York City and Atlanta, New York City and Calgary in Canada. So there's a lot of fluctuations even within the same chain of restaurants serving the same kind of food in different cities. The message really to a viewer is moderation, eat right. There is a particular limit to which you can take trans fats. They can cause short-term harm. More importantly, it causes a cumulative long-term harm.
But Sunita, again, why not leave it to consumer choice? Let me actually put that to Suhail. Are you arguing that, Suhail, for consumer choice?
No, Sagarika, before Suhail comes in, I want to say very clearly, it is about consumer choice. This is about disclosure, right disclosure on packets, a labeling so that all of us know, and then consumers must decide.
Right.
You and I are not the policemen of the world. We cannot tell people not to eat something.
But you were speaking about a ban.
But
you were speaking about a ban.
Only in schools, okay. Sagarika, as is done across the world. Because there you don't want it to be easy access.
Right, because Sunita, the argument could be made is that a consumer has the freedom to consume what is bad for him, such as cigarettes, such as alcohol, which he knows is bad for him, but can consume it. So
but you must put
the right to know. Very important point.
You must put information. Absolutely.
That's the big point. Suhail, the irresponsible advertising, as Sunita has also said in the reports in the newspaper, attached to these particular foods, and the fact that they are taking away the consumer's right to know what he or she is eating. That's really the horror of it.
There are two or three points here. Number one, in her report she mentions one of the recommendations of global benchmarks is that after 9 p.m. at night, allow ads for these, but not while there are children viewing television to have these ads. To my mind, that's a domain for the Advertising Standards Council of India and the Government of India to mandate. But let's come back to a larger point that she made and which Dr. Bagai buttressed very logically. The issue, Sagarika, is that given the way Indians consume, and it's not about people who can afford the goods that you've mentioned, a McDonald's or a Lay's or whatever. If you see, the Food Safety Authority has not been able to either influence or create a level of awareness. I'm all for full disclosure and then allowing the consumer to choose. I'm also all for punishing and penalizing companies which have misreported or misrepresented facts. But here's my argument. This is not going to be done by any single company alone. It must be the initiative of a government which then rules and mandates, just like the British government, which Sunita's report in the context of blood pressure caused by overdosing on salt has said. So the argument, no one is disputing the fact that we need to educate or make aware and then enable choice.
Okay, so educate, make aware, but don't ban, don't ban, and don't be a moral police. Don't be a moral police and educate. Hang on, we have to go to run into break, but we're going to come back and pick it up right there. We're asking, does a junk food culture now dominate our eating habits, pegged to the new report brought out by the Center of Science and Environment, which has pointed to the worrying levels of trans fats, salts and sugars in the fast foods that we are constantly consuming. Sunita, you wanted to respond to Suhail's point about educate, make aware, but don't ban, because that is socially draconian. It will drive it underground, and it will only perhaps become even more attractive in a surreptitious kind of way to young people. The idea should be self-regulation and awareness.
You know, if you remember a few years ago, Bill Clinton, the former president of the United States, actually was a junk food junkie. And he used to talk a lot about how much junk food he ate. And then he had his heart attack, and he decided as part of his Clinton Foundation, to actually launch a huge campaign in the United States to get junk food out of schools. Now, all we are saying is the same. We are saying that schools should voluntarily stop junk food in their schools, and government should issue an advisory as well, because childhood obesity is important. And we have not talked about a ban as far as Suhail said eating junk food is concerned. He is most welcome to eat it. Okay? And Sagarika, the other thing that I just want to make the point is, it's about full disclosure and about right disclosure.
The disclosure, I think that's a very good point. That's a very valid point.
I just want to add a point here. Suhail said they already disclose. They don't. Let me give you an instance of salt and sugar. When it comes to salt, one packet of chips. Do you know your children eat chips? I eat chips now, and I used to till I did the study, and I never knew that one packet of chips finishes half my day's quota of salt. The fact is, one bottle of carbonated beverage finishes 2 days of my added sugar quota. So next time a child drinks a cola, he or she must be aware of the fact that they cannot have sugar for 2 days after this.
That's a very good point.
This is the kind of disclosure that is essential, Sagarika.
Very good
point. We are not against multinationals, not against these companies' health, whatever Suhail may think, but we are in favor of children's health in this country.
Suhail, for example, I'm looking at this packet of Maggi that I have here, and nowhere does it say that it has trans fats. It's saying sugar, it's saying carbohydrate, it's saying energy, but it's not saying trans fat. It's the same with this packet of chips.
No salt.
And no salt. It's not mentioning salt at all. It just says potassium, fat, sugar, carbohydrate. And here the chip says energy, protein, carbohydrate. Again, no mention of trans fat. So this is what Sunita is talking about. This is the lack of disclosure and the need to create awareness. So on that you have...
No, I think there's another argument. There's also need for stricter government laws, because if it is a violation of a prescribed form of labeling and a form of illegality, then take these companies to task, a point that I made in my opening remarks.
Right, but
no one
Doc,
is disputing that children's health...
But Doc, will that make children healthier? But will that make children healthier? Because are we only going to focus on these packaged foods? Are these the foods that are causing obesity? Are these the foods that are causing diabetes? What about the kind of food that children eat at home? What about the cakes and the pastries and the mithai and the treats that mothers and grandmothers give our kids, So it's not just about the companies producing the packet food. What about the kind of eating culture that urban India has, that the newly rich have?
What about
India? I think the best thing what this study has actually done is to bring the nutritional focus of children and young adults onto a national forefront as a debate as we are having now. It's all about educating parents who have children so that from a very early age they are inculcated to correct eating habits. We know that these sort of fats cause harm. It's not only in multinational food products which are more necessarily...
So do you feel that these should be banned? Do you feel they should be banned in schools?
No, I think in schools for sure, fast food should not be allowed.
Not be allowed.
There should be a greater regulation. It should not be allowed. But also in schools, most of the schools, Sagarika, have taken a great frontier prominence in which they have involved healthcare professionals to come and educate children, right from class 4, 5, 6 onwards, on nutrition and correct eating habits. I myself have gone to the schools to lecture on this, and it's caused a great important impact on young children to understand directly what is correct to be eaten and what is wrong to be eaten. So I think it's about public awareness, it's about a partnership between government and the schools and the parents, and it's not about multinationals, one company versus another company.
You were telling me, just to end the show, you were saying that you don't approve of a ban. But you are saying that this is the problem with these foods is they're highly accessible. They're very easy to get. It's very easy to order a burger, very easy to order a pizza, not so easy to get a mithai.
Yes.
Not so easy to get a chole bhature. You have to go to the shop, stand in a line and get it. So the very convenience of it is what is deadly.
Yes. So like the 3 points I want to make. The first is that, a ban doesn't look very good in democratic society. You can't be banning things. It's a very knee-jerk, very, when you have no other solution, that kind of a thing. Second thing is that it's easily accessible, so self-regulation. And third is the multinationals have all the resources. So they need to be a little more responsible in their relationship with the consumer.
Right, we're going to have to leave it there. The multinationals have to be a little more responsible, but I think the study has raised very, very important points about how we are feeding ourselves and our children. Take care of those trans fats, take care of the sugars and salts, because our diabetes and our heart disease and our hypertension is literally going through the roof. Thanks very much indeed. Sunita Narayan, Suhail Seth, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Shikha Sharma, thanks very much indeed. Are we in the grip of a junk food culture? What are you telling us there over there? 88 are saying yes. Thanks for watching.